Whereas when it's just you, it's a bit like, and you're also juggling like the demands of your current life and the business, and business is so up and down, and just kind of working out what that's going to look like. But this is, I guess, where I kind of like the pressure, I guess, of the timeline, because if someone was like, oh, you can now like get pregnant at any age, I'd be like, well, I'm just going to avoid it then, you know? Like my fertility challenges, I suppose, have propelled me into action and actually helped me work out what I want a lot more, and not just what I want in like a literal sense, but what I want my life to look like.
The Get Rich Slow Club podcast is a collaboration between Tash Etchman from Tash Invest and Anna Christina from Perla. The Get Rich Slow Club acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land we record on. From coast to coast, across land, waters, and communities, we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Any advice is general and does not consider your financial situation, needs, or objectives, so consider whether it's appropriate for you.
Welcome to the Get Rich Slow Club podcast,
where we take you from beginner to confident investor.
where we can teach you everything you need to know about investing.
So come get rich slow with us.
Hello, I have Emma from the Brick Generation with me today. This is part 2 of our mini-series. We are doing these because we are hosting a retreat called the Money Sleepover, which we're very excited about. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yes. So in June, we are heading to the Sunshine Coast, woo-woo, to run a money sleepover, which is a grown-up version of the sleepovers you might recall having as a teenager. But instead of telling secrets about boys from school, we're going to tell secrets about what we've always wanted to do in our lives. And instead of telling scary stories, we're going to talk about money, which is a scary story for many people.
Many scary things.
And instead of midnight snacks, we're having a private chef. Mm-hmm. And instead of someone dipping your hand in water so you pee yourself, we're going in the sauna.
That's a unique one.
It's like, I don't know if it was like one of those old wives' tales where like when it's what everyone was worried about at sleepovers. Maybe it was like slightly more 90s.
That. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe if you're like over 30, you'll know what I mean. I think it was like a very Americanized like myth that like the old thing was if you're asleep and someone dips your hand in, I think maybe warm water. Allegedly,
you wet the bed.
You'll pee yourself.
Okay. Well, we won't be doing that.
We won't do that.
We're doing the adult version where we get to sleep in our own beds and ignore everyone else.
Yeah. No, there'll be no ignoring. There'll be conscious connections.
Yes. There'll be fun, light yoga, not hectic yoga, lots of sleepy yoga. I went on this retreat, like the regular yoga version last year, and it was really fun. There's like sleepy yoga with your blankets and it's all cozy. It's a lovely house. Like it's so beautiful there. It's great. Private chef. Good activities. It'll be a fun time.
I think there's a lot to be said about taking a beat for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, when we talked about doing this retreat, I was like,
no,
not so much no. I was more thinking this is going to be hard for me to promote because I don't think I'd ever spend this money on this. Honestly, the more we talk about it, the more I want to attend. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to run it. I want to go.
Yeah, I thought the same, but I've been curious about it for a while because when I look at it, I'm like, I could go to Bali for a week for that amount of money. But it was actually really good to just like, not be forced, but to be encouraged to like live with really good habits. Like you wake up, you do go straight away and it's crazy how good you feel. Like we read about it, but it's crazy to actually live it and be like, oh, when I sleep for 9 to 10 hours and I do yoga in the morning, in the afternoon, I actually do feel really good. And you eat 3 nice meals a day. So it was nice to be reminded of like how a good routine actually makes you feel better. And that was worth all the money.
It's like, you know what this feels like? This feels like what some people say it's like going home to their parents. You know, some people have that family home where they like go home and they're like welcomed like they're the
there's
king.
Gifts. Because there'll be gifts.
And that like they don't lift a finger because their parents do everything and they're like really looked after. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
So if you too come from a broken home, come to the retreat.
Or if you just want to chill.
No, but it's funny because I think as well on the money side, the more like I think I was very, and I wonder if this is maybe resistance for people that might want to come but are immediately like, oh, that's expensive. Because like we're not lying here. It's an investment for 4 days. Plus if you're not in Queensland, you're going to fly as well. Like for those activities, like the crafts, we're doing the affirmation pottery, we've got the sound healing. Like I'm not a woo-woo girl, but I like a sound healing as much as the next person.
The sound healing is great if you've never done it because they literally say to bring your pillows from your bed and blankets and everyone just lays down and is all cozy and they've got fairy lights on.
It's very like wholesome. The gong sound.
Yeah. And someone bangs a bowl and they run around.
Yeah, love.
And they spray like smelly stuff around. That's fun.
Like I feel like for me, they're all things that I would love to do, but I tend in my everyday life not to do them because to go to those classes, that cost really adds up.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like for 4 days, if you're going to go, to Bali or somewhere else, Like the costs do really add up. By the time you're adding on your food and everything like that, I was like, it's actually not as different because everything is provided when you're there.
Yeah.
Your food and everything like that. And the activities.
Almost worth paying just for like the phone free time. Like you can go on your phone, but it's like you're kind of following a schedule. You don't have to think. You're not like, oh, how will I get to yoga? Because you just walk over in the morning and everyone kind of like gets woken up at the same time. Like it's very wholesome. So you're not thinking, you're not really on your phone because you're doing stuff all day, you're chatting to people, you're doing yoga or whatever. So just paying for that break from my phone was really good. And to be like almost pressured into having a nicer sleep schedule. Like you can if you want, but you can't staying up to 2 a.m. on your phone isn't the best when you've got 7 a.m. yoga with everyone.
Right.
And
like
they
the
make
accountability.
you sleepy on purpose, I think. So then you fall asleep really easily.
Yeah, your cacao before bed.
Yeah. And you're like sleepy yoga, sleepy meditation.
I'm keen for the movie night.
Yeah.
And you get to do all of those really nice things without like the burden of daily life. Like I hate trying to go to yoga. The few times I've tried to go to yoga, it's like, oh, I've had a really nice time. But now it's like, oh my God, the class went over by 5 minutes and I had to wait for ages to pull my car out the car park. And now I'm late for dinner and I'm like, oh, my stress is just back.
Yeah, no, you're so stuck in traffic. I hate that as well when I go and I can't find a car park. And then I'm like, oh, well, now I have to pay the $15 cancellation fee.
Yeah. Oh my God, no. Yeah, no $15 cancellation fee. Anyway, this has turned into a promo, which is not the point. It's turned into a huge promo for the retreat. I just love to chat about it. One thing we're going to be doing while we're there though, is we're going to be running our Ultimate Money Upgrade session. That is like one of the more educational, I guess, parts of on the nose money stuff that we'll be doing while we're there.
We've run this a few times together and it's lots of fun. So we do practical investing stuff and then we also do kind of the more psychology stuff as well.
Yeah, talking about like how maybe you've grown up with money and what your view of like financial growth is, and like maybe, I think what we're going to be talking about per the title of this episode is like, what is your next like phase for money? We talk a lot about how there's a financial literacy gap in terms of there's practical things that people need to know to learn to invest and to manage their money. But then there's also this massive engagement gap as well. Like we can't really say that the information is not out there anymore, because it's been years now that it's not just in bro language. And yet there's still so much resistance, especially at the moment. Like if anybody's been on the fence about investing at the moment in the last like 6 months, you're hardly going to be convinced to invest right now.
Yeah.
While the world's going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really going to be covering a lot of that while we're there as well. And I think it's an interesting conversation to have even on the pod, whether or not you're coming to the retreat. Sort of what season of money are you in? And what is your next season going to be? Are you in one, or are you just like shutting your eyes and hoping that it goes away?
You writing these questions kind of made me reflect a little bit, because I feel like I have been active with my money previously, but now I've just set things up in a way that it's just kept working. So I haven't actively made any decisions. And recently I made 2 big money decisions. So these are kind of a bit more unique, but I hired someone for my business, which is exciting. And I also bought another property.
Congratulations.
But I've just kind of been like cruising along and not actioning those things when I could have like maybe a year ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
I didn't want to commit to an employee because that's scary. And then you have to like really commit to the work, and you can't like just not work one day because you don't feel like it. You've got to commit and have things for them to do. And buying another property, there was like the ethical side, but I wasn't really sure if I wanted to like commit to having a big mortgage. I quite liked my small mortgage in Perth. I liked the freedom that gave me. So it was kind of like an indecision and not just like picking one or the other. Like I knew I wanted to do it at some point, but I was like, oh, don't want to commit. I guess it's like fear of commitment to it, because you can't hire someone and then say 3 days later, oh no, I changed my mind. Like there's an adult responsibility to that. And it's been great. And I'm really glad that I did it. And it's been a really good month. And I like feel so much better now that I've done it. And I feel like I'm working towards stuff again. Because it's so easy to, when you don't have like a specific goal or time frame, to just not bother. You're like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if I spend more this week. It's like, where is it going anyway?
That's so true. This is good for me because I want to hire somebody as well. I can't afford a full-time employee.
Oh my gosh, I'll tell you about it afterwards. It's been really good.
I need some help, and I'm thinking about my next money era, I guess. I mean, hopefully my next money era will be having a baby, maybe like not super soon, but like by the end of next year, maybe. Wait, me doing the maths. Yeah.
End of next year. Yeah.
Time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When was my last period? Yeah. So like that's kind of prompting me to think about the eras side of things. But it's funny how you said like you put it off and like the indecision is kind of your choice for a while until something
I went
you to
Uganda, because I was putting off that trip for ages. I was like, I can see the gorillas in the future. And then the world started falling apart and I was like, oh, well, I might as well go see them now while I still can. And then like that trip helped me reflect a lot and like not be as stuck. So I was a bit stuck in like the cycle of social media and feeling negative about it and like just feeling a bit on the hamster wheel, I guess. That was pretty accurate. But then going to Uganda was a really nice break and like time to reflect a little bit and be like, oh, why not just buy a house when I can.
Yeah.
And I've got all of these great opportunities in front of me. And the employee's been really good because she's friendly and fun and I can talk to her and she keeps me accountable and she's got like fun ideas and she's excited to be there, which is fun when I feel a bit jaded about social media and she's like so excited about stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can she be excited about stuff for me too? Yeah. Can she do two jobs at the same time?
You'll have to join our morning calls. Where like I just rant about my life for 15 minutes and then we talk about work.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been good.
Fun.
She's always like borderline counselor. No.
Are you paying her
She's
enough?
not. I'm paying her. I feel like it's quite well.
The mental health loading.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. How did you navigate the ethical side of buying the other house?
Well, it's hard because there's this like rhetoric that maybe there shouldn't be as many property investors, but I feel like by owning 2 or maybe 3 in the future properties myself personally, it's not really going to impact the issue. And if I didn't buy it, another investor probably will. I also have really big plans for a not-for-profit and maybe a charity that I want to do in the future. And you need money to set those up.
Yeah.
So is it like kind of doing something maybe a little bit evil underlying to then do something better? But I don't actually think it's that evil because I feel like I'm quite a good landlord. Like I waive the advertising fee if they move out earlier and like those, whatever they're called when you break lease fees. I've like not put up my rent when they've asked me not to. I'm going to put new air cons into the property I just bought. I'm going to put solar panels on the roof as well because I can't do that in my own house. So I feel like I would like to rent from me. Yeah. And unfortunately our system is set up where you do have to, like landlords are needed now. And if you kind of step back, you're disadvantaging yourself a lot and you can't really, it's hard to change things when you're not part of the system.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder how, this is going off book, but oh well.
Okay. Yeah.
I wonder how the rental market or the rental culture, because everything's a culture now. I'm guilty of using that term a lot. I wonder how rental culture would be different if landlords weren't shit.
Yeah.
Like in Nordic countries, for example, where there are private owned properties, but it's not like there's standards and things that have to.
Yeah, or like you're just
upheld.
a nice person. I think the property managers are the hardest bit because like they'll make decisions on your behalf. And if they don't tell you beforehand, like one of my property managers was like, oh, I'm charging him this fee because he's moving out early. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, don't do that. I'm happy to just cover it myself. But if they've not communicated that to you first, it's hard to like make those decisions. Like you feel so far removed because you've not spoken to the person. You don't like actually get to know them as a human. They're just like a number if you don't manage it yourself.
Yeah. And then I think that it becomes, not that I'm like, oh, we shouldn't feel bad for landlords whatsoever. But I think as well, that's where the dehumanization on both sides happens, where there's not every landlord that sells property is doing so to get rich when it actually might be like their husband died and that's why they're selling it.
Yeah.
Or
they
every single tenant is awful because they asked something to be fixed when actually they told the property manager like, oh, I can actually fix this myself. Can I build this to be fixed? I can fix this doorknob myself, for example. But the property managers then just come to you and been like, oh, they want a new doorknob. And you're like, what the hell?
Or just not set it. Like there's so much bad. Like I've had to change property managers because they didn't pay my strata fees for a year. They just stopped. Like that's like terrible. If they're doing that to me, imagine what they're doing to the tenants who've asked for stuff and they've not passed it on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's so true.
So maybe that's the big problem is like the property managers.
Especially as we look at like progressive changes. Like we're not literally going to go the other way and like have no rental properties and no landlords. When we look at like the things that we can do to make it better. Yeah, I see your point.
And I like renting because I don't know where I want to live. So I want there to be landlords for me to rent from.
There needs to be rental,
Yeah, like I don't want to commit to where I want to live anytime soon. No. And I understand there's problems, but I also think, I know people might get mad at me for this, but I feel like I am quite a nice landlord. Like I will fix things and I will negotiate with you and I will like I don't have to put in 10 grand of air cons, but I can because it's in Queensland. I think it's silly to not have air cons in Queensland.
Yeah. Oh my God, 100%. Yeah. Oh, it's in Queensland. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because I was reading about this recently about how landlords work in countries where there are fairer rental markets or there's rent controls or whatever. Also crazy that like America has rent control.
Well, because like a lot of people manage their own properties. Like it seems to be a more Australian thing with this like property manager business. Because I think I was talking to someone from the US and they were saying they just managed their own and they had properties all like in the same suburb and they would just drive around to all of them and say hi. But like that's a human relationship you have with someone.
True. But then how does that, because the reason I've always advocated for like property management is good ones anyway, is because like an individual landlord can't be available for emergencies. True. Like you can't expect them to be.
But you can also just
call you could hire someone. Yeah.
Like at the emergencies, what? A plumber.
Yeah, you need like the emergency part, but not the...
Like I'm not coming into emergency like to fix something for you if your plumbing's broken. Like I just stand there with them as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's hard then if you've got like landlords who are busy versus like a property manager is expected to reply on time.
Yeah. Or just like you have an emergency number that you can call, like someone's on call.
True.
Like how could you go on holiday? Because then it gets into the problem of like, the house probably won't blow up. But like what if it does while you're on a flight? Like who's looking after the tenant then?
Yeah.
You know?
This is true.
This is a different episode to what we've had.
Well, it kind of was about being stuck. Yeah. Because like the property I have felt put off from buying a second property for a few years now because the rhetoric on social media is really, really, really negative. But then I look at people like Jack Henderson and I don't want to be like him, but it's interesting how he can say he wants to buy all these properties and people celebrate him. And then I hint that I have one property and people are like, oh, you're so evil. And it's not everyone, but it's definitely like the general conversation on social media. And I know other people have watched that in my comment section and then messaged me being like, oh, I feel really guilty that I can't talk about my properties with my friends or family.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we're kind of just harming ourselves a bit by doing that because then we let the richer property people with their 20 or 30 properties buy them all.
Yeah,
Instead of having it
interesting.
spread out.
That's true.
Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like at the moment, even if I didn't buy a property, it wouldn't fix the problem.
No, not at all.
So I've been procrastinating my house. That's why we've gotten so off tangent. What have you been procrastinating?
Well, a bit of a personal one for me. I've been procrastinating kind of facing the reality of how I'll have a baby if I want to. For a while, for ages, I was procrastinating deciding if I wanted to have kids. And then I was doing a lot of that kind of work and landed on that I do want to. But then I had all this other, like in a financial sense, I had all this other resistance of like, okay, I'm so not in a position to right now. I don't want to like take on the job of getting ready for that because I don't have that pathway of like, well, I'll go on mat leave.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends have, been laying that groundwork for many years, like moving into that role because that, I don't know how it works in corporate salary band or whatever pays.
They've got 12 months.
More or or if you're in like Department of Ed, you get the standard amount, but your job is held for a year or 2 years or 3.
Actually, where it's like I have to work there for 12 months to get parental leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, there's all those kinds of things. Whereas when it's just you, it's a bit like, and you're also juggling like the demands of your current life and the business is so up and down and just kind of working out what that's going to look like. But this is, I guess, where I kind of like the pressure, I guess, of the timeline, because if someone was like, oh, you can now like get pregnant at any age, I'd be like, well, I'm just going to avoid it then, like my fertility challenges, I suppose, have propelled me into action and actually helped me work out what I want a lot more, and not just what I want in like a literal sense, but what I want my life to look like. And what the ideal would be, what the better would be, thinking about in that, was it this episode or the other episode? I talked about the job. Yeah, last episode, the concept of having a job and then that job did not pay parental leave, but even if it had, like, would I have done that? All those kinds of things.
So where are you at now for planning for parental leave?
Well, I'm planning to try, like the hardest thing is that you just don't know when you're going to get pregnant. That's the hardest part. That's the bit that I'm struggling the most with, and like there's no answers because some people get pregnant the first try, some people it takes 2 years, but they have to, pay for fertility treatment and everything. But we're kind of looking at where we live and housing and that kind of thing. And then the biggest thing for me financially is getting the business to a point where I could actually take any time away from it because I'm effectively a freelancer, because I don't have, my income's a bit, wonky all over the place. It's very much reliant on me. So trying to get it to a point where I'll be able to take some time away from it, but also, what kind of business am I running if I'm also looking after a small person? And, the changes that will be coming to the childcare subsidy. Suddenly having to consider all those things. Thank God for our good friend Anna for writing her book. Big plug for Kids Ain't Cheap. Yeah, it's just like a whole other world. And working that out without an obvious pathway. Yeah. A bit like I said in the previous episode as well, like you think, oh, it's harder because you're not following that pathway. But also what I'm kind of realizing is I'm at a point where I'm not having that pathway like that. But if I actually plan properly, I probably have a bit more freedom to make it the way that I want it. So no, I won't have this period of time where, and I think this is one of the hardest realizations that every business owner has, like you can't just quit. Like a job, you can walk out tomorrow. If you win the lottery, you can walk out tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, you can win the business if you really wanted to.
Kind of, but you still, like, especially with a personal brand where you have I can't not be me anymore. Like even if I shut everything down tomorrow, I can still get someone at Coles being like, oh my God, are you the broke generation? Yeah. No, sorry. As of yesterday, no. Like,
name has changed.
You have a, like our books are on shelves forever. Yeah. Well, actually.
You can take your baby to look at it.
Not. Who knew? So keeping your book on shelves is actually a challenge.
No. Hopefully it stays so you can take it for a tour.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like it's a very different, if you're like an OT, you can just like quit and not be an OT anymore. Yeah. But that doesn't really play into, that's like more identity rather than income. Yes. But that's just like a separate kind of thing. I'm realizing that I'm not where I was going with that first thought, I'm not going to get that bit that a lot of corporates have where they're just like out of office on. Yeah. I am not, marketing manager for another year.
That's it.
I was reading the book about the one on Facebook and the Facebook employee, Sarah Wynne Williams, the one that Meta didn't want people to read. It's quite interesting.
Oh.
But she was, there was a court order, so she can't promote it herself anymore, which is interesting. But that's why I wanted to read it, to see why they're hiding. But in it, she was talking about how she was having to respond to things while she was on parental leave and like the pressure from the big tech companies to keep working, and how as soon as she could come back, they were like, oh, you can just like bring your baby to India or wherever they're going, Myanmar or something.
Whoa.
Yeah, and they were hiring nannies and stuff for her.
Oh my God.
But interesting, like terrible, but also on the other hand to be like, you can just take your babies everywhere if you decide to plan your life that way.
Yep.
And it like caused problems with her partner and stuff because she ended up having 3 kids, I think. But the fact that she was like going to these executive meetings with her baby.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. Possible. Maybe, yeah.
It's like that. It's like that debate of whether jobs, I mean, we're not in jobs, so it's different, but whether jobs should offer childcare
Yeah.
or not. And I was always like, of course they should. Like, of course that's a good thing. But then I saw this argument from people being like, no, we need to make room for the raising of children where you're not still trying to fit in a job. Like, it's a bit of a Band-Aid solution to be like, bring your kid to work. It's like, but imagine if we didn't actually have to still go to work.
Or if we had like more flexible work where you took it to a crèche, like at the gym, and you drop it off for a few hours and then you do your calls and then you can do the rest from home or something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a weird argument because it's like, well, at what point are we sliding back into like
Gender roles.
one person staying home, inevitably the mother?
There just needs to be more flexibility where you can like, you've got projects to work on or whatever. It's really hard though because it'll never happen for like customer service jobs or healthcare jobs. Like this conversation, you can't like carry your baby around in surgery and be like, sorry.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like there'll always be those jobs, but I guess for like more corporate jobs,
Just
like you
bang a
can.
scalpel.
Well, imagine waking up to a baby crying in your face.
Yoo-hoo.
Oh God.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, small corporate jobs, like they could just be more flexible. You've got your project, you can work on it whenever.
Yeah, true.
I was going to talk about this to my boyfriend a little bit if we ever had kids together, how we would structure it. And I've seen other creators or people who work for themselves, they do half days and they alternate like morning and afternoon. So you still work like 20 hours a week where you've got complete time to work or whatever. And then you can work after the baby goes to sleep. But if you've both got work from home jobs and you can be flexible, that'd be cool.
Oh, that would be a completely different situation, I suppose.
But if we can move more towards that with like people working normal jobs, like why do you have to work 9 to 5 if maybe you could do part-time but do like 3 or 4 hours a day part-time?
Yeah.
And have more flexibility rather than like you have to work 9 till 12 or 9 till 5. And I know sometimes you need to have like time where you can have meetings and stuff, but I feel like it could just be so much more flexible.
Yeah. And so much less. I feel like if we start addressing how much more flexible it could be, it's like a lot of the rigidity of corporate is actually exposed as being fucking useless.
It is.
Do you know what I
like
mean?
we do so much stuff and we are quite productive, I feel sometimes. Like we can do so much stuff and we're like sitting at home on our couch half the time if we want to be. There's no need.
I know. Yeah. This was a long walk for a ham sandwich. But yeah, what next? What's your next money era going to be? Come and discuss it with the retreat. Maybe you'll have some insights for me about parental leave.
Yes, how we can juggle things. Or like the ideal work week. Like where do we move to as a society?
Yeah. Oh
and
my
how do we
God,
make that
love
work?
this
I'm ready for that.
conversation.
Yeah. And how do we fit in like the healthcare workers and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the 4-day work week debate. I'm always like, what are we doing about the teachers? What are we doing about the hospital workers?
Do kids need to go to school 5 days a week? Can they go 4 days a week?
Well, I don't know.
Or do we hire more teachers that are all part-time?
Yeah.
Because if the world's moving towards 4-day work week, then yeah.
But then do people want their kids 3 days a weekend? Or do they want the extra day off to be away from their kids?
We'll have to ask them. If you have kids, come to the retreat and tell us.
But this is the other thing about the hospitality workers and such, or occupational or allied health or whatever. If we have an extra day off, what are we going to want to do on that extra day off? Go out for brunch, go to the physio, get our hair done.
That's why we have to be flexible. So we change it. So some people have Friday off, some people have Monday off. When I was a kid, I used to think traffic was so silly because why didn't they just stagger people's start times? And some people worked 7 till 3, some people worked 9 till 5, some people worked like 10 till 6.
But they do though, like tradies and stuff.
Yeah, but like
We're not
there's
all
still like
office
that big like, but there is still like the traffic going there. And then peak hour is like, 6 till 9 or whatever, but can it be longer?
In the UK, we have the Friday thing. Like traffic on Friday is like notoriously known to be bad. And it's like, why?
Oh.
It's like a real, like you're going there on a Friday. Good luck.
Why? Interesting.
I don't know.
Are people worse drivers on a Friday? Or are they all rushing home?
I guess the logic is they're going on maybe for a long weekend or something, even though that's not really a common thing.
What, from London?
It's just something about a Friday. There's like comedy skits about it and everything because everyone's like, bold of you.
Yeah, interesting.
You're going to Southampton on a Friday. Okay then. Good luck getting a park.
Wild. Well, I'm very excited to have these town planning conversations with everyone on the retreat and how we build our own utopia. Because I feel like the world could be a lot better. We maybe have some blind spots, but I'm keen for these discussions. I love these.
Do you want to, just to finish, do you want to hear my Black Mirror episode idea?
Yes. You just describe your real life.
Describe being on social media. You just live as a content creator for a day. No, I would want to see what it would be like if, to like spread people out more, half of the world is awake during the day and half of the world is, not the world, half of the population is awake during the day and half of the world is awake and working during the night. And then you have to like switch it. Or like, this is not my solution.
Like everyone works night shift.
Just like what happens. And if there was like Black Mirror wise, it would probably be a case of like the wealthy get to be awake in the day and the poor are awake in the night.
Yeah.
And what that
we
would
could
be
like stagger it where you get like half dark, half daytime. And then the rest of the people start half daytime, half night for their shifts. Well, it's good conversation anyway, because we do have a lot of people who have to work night shift. Police, paramedics, we can't be like, and like the impacts on their health. Interesting.
So at Black Mirror, if you're listening.
Can you play that for us?
Yeah. Can you show us what that might
We'll
look
give you
like?
the last scenarios. Another scenario I'd love to see is if men were forced to take parental leave instead of women in same-sex relationships.
Were we talking about this?
In hetero, yes, in hetero relationships. I know it doesn't work for same-sex relationships, but it'd be interesting to see how the culture would shift if men had to go on parental leave and then women were offered the chance to get promotions and stay at work.
The economy would boom. We would get so much more done.
Yes.
And then we'd probably end up going home and doing the fucking washing up as well.
Anyway, I know there's problems with that and I haven't had a kid yet, but
oh my God, if women were the ones running the workforce, we would be, so much more would get done.
I saw someone on TikTok, we're going so off now, but she was saying like, I gave birth and I was pregnant, so surely the men should breastfeed. I was like, yeah, because then they'd have to stay home.
I can't believe we do everything.
Yeah. Anyway, lots of unhinged opinions, maybe, if you come.
Yeah, all this and more at the retreat.
We've got many thoughts that we can't share out loud.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you found this episode helpful, please rate us 5 stars, write a review, or share with a friend. If you're new to investing, make sure to listen to our first 10 episodes. Follow us at Get Rich Slow Club or Tash at Tash Invests or me at Ana Cristina.
This show was brought to you by Natasha Etchman, who is an authorised representative 1299881 of Guideway Financial Services, AFSL 420367, and Perla, who is an authorised representative 1281540 of Sanlam Private Wealth, AFSL 337927. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing, so make sure you check out our financial services guides and read the product disclosure statement and target market determination for any investments you're considering. See our show notes for more info.